So this is the first video that I've filmed in the daytime, because in England right now it gets dark about 9 o'clock, 9:15, so I don't really want to wait till 10 o'clock to film a video because I'll be very tired. I've done that in the past and it hasn't gone very well. You know, I've had to delete a few videos, so this is a first for me, doing it in the complete light. Okay, so I have some stuff written down that I want to talk about. I'm going to start with, so I went to Australia for 5 weeks, and it's made me really reevaluate some stuff, you know, about myself, about the life that I was living. Having that kind of experience where you're really on your own in another country for a while is really like it's really eye-opening. You know, the fact that everything's like, it's just all different, it's all not what you're used to, and it kind of gives you a different perspective on things that you've always had the same perspective about. That's what I found massively. I noticed the way I talked was very different. The way I kind of adopted a lot of cultural things in Australia just from being there for a while, and a lot of my viewpoints changed on certain stuff because of the people there, because of the way people like live life in Australia, if that makes sense, compared to here. But I'll go a bit more into that later. I have got some stuff. So I'm filming this video on a Friday. I went out last night with a few friends, and I was talking to Dan, who is one of the people I went with, and we were talking about this girl that he's trying to figure out if she likes him or not. And we kind of went into the topic of people giving mixed messaging on purpose, as like it could be as a ploy for attention, it could be as a thing that they don't know what they want, so they're just doing it. I've experienced this in the past with like friends, you know, that I've talked to that are like, they might be angry with me but they won't say it, but then they will, but then they, you know, I've had it with girls that I've talked to, and I find that people often do it on purpose as a way, I don't know if they're trying to confuse people, like specifically. Maybe they are. But it seems to be a very common thing with people that you're interested in, or people that you really enjoy like spending time with. It's a lot of mixed messaging, and I think that a more introverted person, like my friend Dan, is kind of in the middle. He's ambiverted, I would say. He's not really either side, but I'm very introverted, so I do a lot of like overthinking. You can see like on the camera right now I'm kind of noticing myself being quite awkward, moving my head, moving my hands, you know. I've done that my whole life. And I've overthought things my whole life, even when I know I definitely shouldn't have, and I definitely shouldn't still, because I know my overthinking has gotten in the way of me experiencing so many new life opportunities, so many things that other people my age have experienced, because they just they just went for it. They just go for it. And in a weird way, I'm not sure if this is like a psychological thing, but I found that people with older parents are more kind of not introverted, but they're like more introspective. They kind of process things differently. They think about shit a lot more. They're really they really try and understand everything, and that can be to their benefit or often to their detriment. Whereas people with younger parents just kind of, they don't think about things too deeply. They don't really process things on like or they don't overthink things on that level. I think that often means that people with younger parents are more extroverted, they're more social, they're more, like open. And this is, I don't know if it's some kind of epigenetical thing, maybe it is, but I've always been envious of the people that it feels like were just born with this kind of openness. They're like an open book. They can tell people anything, they're not embarrassed. Maybe I've been a little bit envious of that, if I'm being honest, a lot of my life. And I know that it may also be like you have to work to get to that point. I know being open is something you can practice, you can make like a conscious effort, but I feel like some people just get things easier, and it's unfair in a way, in my mind. But at the same time, I wonder if the people who seem more extroverted, more open, kind of wish they could process things more, or maybe that thought doesn't even come to them. I'm talking about them like they're another kind of species here. We're all humans, we're all very similar, but you can definitely notice different groups of people, and you can kind of bundle them together, kind of segregate them in your mind, pretty much. And I wonder if other people notice the kind of link with the parents and the personality of kids, or I wonder if that's just me, or maybe it doesn't even exist. What else have I got? I'm just going to go down pretty much like a list of topics. I'm not going to try and blend them into each other, I don't think. So something that I've noticed in Australia when I was there is the difficulty it is to make connections nowadays, because so I live in England. I live in quite like everywhere's walkable where I live, and I find that the fact that everywhere's walkable makes it way easier to connect with people, to go out and do stuff with people, because you don't have the limiting factor of like, oh, you need to drive, or you need to get some transport, or any of that. And everyone lives close enough together where you can just walk over to someone's house, you can bond with them, you can talk with them. But when I was in Australia, I noticed that people like my uncle and my cousin always had to drive for a long time to get to anyone, and in my mind it kind of made it seem like it would be really hard to build like a proper connection with people. Maybe it's just me who thinks that way. Maybe it isn't actually that difficult, but the feeling of thinking, oh, this person is 40 kilometers away, I'm going to have to drive for half an hour, 40 minutes to go meet with them, would just make me much less likely to agree with plans compared to, oh, that person's a 10-15 minute walk away, or they're a 5-minute drive away. You can do stuff so much more easily, and doing stuff on a consistent basis, becoming a regular at something, is the best way to really connect with people to start with. So I think that's why lots of communities like church, you can kind of connect with people really well, because it's a consistent thing you're doing once, twice, 3 times a week. You're talking with the same people, you're kind of doing a bonding activity in a way with some people, even though I know certain people can be really different in church compared to normally, but you're still interacting with them, you're still giving them some kind of stimulation, you're putting yourself in their mind. And it feels like if you lived so far away, you wouldn't be able to do that. So as much as I absolutely made lifelong memories in Australia, the thought of living there and having friends be so far away, because Australia is a massive place, you know, like it's a really desolate place in some areas, unless you're in like Melbourne or, you know, or Sydney. I think living there would be really tough if you didn't already go there with friends that you knew, because the only kind of place you could really make friends would be at work. So I was really thinking about that on the flight home, because the one thing I wanted to do on my flight home was to reconnect with my friends, and just the thought of everyone again being so close together, kind of like interwoven in a way in this community, was a really good thought. And it just feels different when you're somewhere that's so big, to be honest. Okay, I've got one final thing I want to talk about, and this is something that I found I really kind of not struggle with, but really affects me. So I feel like now with people that I've known for years, they kind of know who I am, but often when I get the feeling that I want to change something, I almost don't, in a way, because I'm worried about they're going to point it out, they're going to realise, well, not realise, but they're going to think about me differently after I've changed something about me, even when it's for the better. And I often think, you know, maybe they only like the current version of me. So maybe if I change even one little thing, if I'm a little bit more open, if I talk a little bit differently, if I pick up a different hobby, it might be like the straw that breaks the camel's back. So I often don't change who I am, in a way, out of fear. And I know how negative this is for myself, because humans are meant to be ever changing. You know, we're meant to be constantly evolving. Change is really fun, I find, in a way. Or even if it's not fun, it's like it's an experience. But the fact that people always have the need to point out change and ask you about change, I would much rather things go unspoken often when I change them, and people would just accept them and love me the same, and think about me the same. But I always have this little bit in the back of my head that's scared to change because people might go. I get it really often. I don't want to change who I am because people might not like it, and they might leave, and they might never come back. And I was thinking about this a while ago, how it's really limiting for me, and I know deep down that it won't happen like that, and all of my friends will stay, and all the people that I love will stay, and they'll accept the new me, or even a new tiny inconsequential like segment of me. But the fear is always there that if I do one little thing differently, they will go. It's like an illogical fear, but I get it really badly. And I'm still working on it. I need to get better at dealing with that thought, because I need to change many parts about me, and I want to change many parts about me, and yeah, I just need to move past that. Bit of a weird video today. I'm really jet lagged because I only got back 2 days ago, so yeah, I might be a bit more not thinking right. I might disagree with some of the points that I made in this video in a few weeks, in a few months, but thank you for listening. And yeah, I'll be back hopefully within a week or two. Thank you.